You know, I'm old enough to have experienced a lot of change in life, from society, culture, technology. You know, kids today have a laptop. I had an Etch-a-Sketch and I was damn happy to have it, you know. And with technology came the internet age, and I saw even more change. I saw how people, whether it be on Facebook, Yahoo, I never had MySpace, I never had Yahoo. I remember AOL, and now YouTube. And it allowed a lot of people, you know how they say some people get beer muscles? Little fucking wimps, they drink a bit too much and suddenly they think they're fucking King Kong on steroids and they want to get into a bar fight and they get fucked up bad, you know? Call it beer muscles. I've seen a lot of people get internet muscles too, saying things that they would never say to the person face to face, you know? A lot of us are old school. Um, how we handled things back in the day, we still handle things the same way today. And early in the morning, they're already starting by the beach. I got to get to the BTH by 9:30, but I got a little bit of time. And I've seen change with cars, you know, from points carburetors to electronic ignition and fuel injection. I've seen how they got faster and faster and faster. Where, you know, the factory race cars of back in my day, you can't even compare them to factory cars today, you know. I've been around drag strips from, you know, 7, 8 years old. My uncle and Bobby Tasker's old man, New England Dragway, and saw the Stalkers and Super Stalkers. I got to see the emergence of the new Pro Stock class in 1970. If I'm not mistaken, Bill Jenkins played a big role in getting this classification in the NHRA. Give it a little step up from Super Stock. I saw the speed shops around here that were abundant. They each had their race car, all super stalkers, and they had their friendly competitions at New England Dragway and what they were running and how much time and money they had to put into these cars to get them to run times that are not even close to what you can buy out of the factory today with a Mustang, Camaro, you know, a Challenger. And I remember the sleepers. I remember when junk was junk. You didn't buy a Hot Rod magazine, a Carcraft, a Motor Trend, Popular Hot Rodding, any of them. You could go through that whole issue. You never saw a fucking four-door junk. You never saw it portrayed as a classic car. And even worse, a classic muscle car. It just didn't happen. They were junk. People knew what they were. It was accepted for what it was. You know, and yeah, guys had junk cars. Guys had four doors. Even back in my day, you know, when I had my cars, there were some guys that they just were not into cars. They were not car guys, but they had a car. Some of them had cars that were handed down from their parents. They had one friend, Paul Lord. He was a goofy guy, but he was a fun guy. And he got a handed down family car. It was a light yellow with the paint all faded. And Oldsmobile Delta 98, big fucking 20-foot fucking land whale, four-door. And we used to pile in that thing and go out and have a blast. Back then, they had drive-in movie theaters. Back then, you had to pay by the head. We could fit like four of us in that fucking trunk, you know. He'd be there by himself behind the fucking wheel, driving in. You know, four of us would be in the fucking trunk so we wouldn't have to pay. And the lady at the window selling tickets be like, yeah, I know what's going on with you kids, you know. Like some guy's going to go to a drive-in movie all by himself. Now, if it was a porn movie and he wanted to masturbate in the sky, maybe it was understandable. But not to see a regular fucking movie. They knew the deal. That's what we did as kids and teenagers. And we had fun, you know. I could tell you a good story. We had a blast in that car. It was a junk. And you know what? We did not care. You want to know why we didn't care? Because he didn't glorify it. He'd go down Industrial Park and watch us race at times. We never pulled in there glorifying this old fucked up four-door Oldsmobile Delta Royal. It was like a 1966 or 67. He never went down there and tried to glorify it. And, hey, look at my classic Oldsmobile. Look at my hot rod. Look at my race car. He never did that. And nobody had a problem with him or his car. You know, the sweeper. We had sweepers. However, today, people want to take four-door fucking junk. You know, they want to elevate it to I think I mentioned this before, but I'm going to get a little more into it this time. They not only want to elevate it to a classic car status, now they want to go a step further, and now it's a classic muscle car. You know, some people like Sanford, they want to call it a sweeper. Basically, what you want to say is, I have an old fucking piece of junk. It looks like shit. It really don't. It runs kind of like shit. But it's loud. It's got a cam in it, you know. And they want people to believe it's something that it's not. You know, the sweepers that I remember, the sweepers were not four-door junk. They were cars that actually looked kind of decent. You know, they didn't have, you know, real fancy, you know, extra special paint jobs. They were very plain Jane. And they were usually the bottom end models of cars that had their upper scale, top tier status with a SS in GM. SS Camaro, SS Nova, SS Chevelle. In Mopar, you had your Roadrunner, your GTX. You know, Ford, you had the Mach 1, the Boss 302s. You know, Buick they came on with their Grand Sports. So Buick didn't really reach its peak until 1970 with the GSX. But they had the GS 400s. Earlier on, very early on, they had the Skylark GS with I believe they had a 401 nailhead engine. It was called the nailhead because of the very small valve size, but those are pretty good engines. They weren't in the same status as, you know, the SS Chevelles that came out, the GTO that came out. They were sister cars on the same platform in GM. You know, Olds had, was it an F85, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, correct me. And they had a decent performance-based engine, but for some reason, only certain models got the muscle car status, GTO, Chevelle, things of that nature. GTX. Then the Roadrunners came along. But back then, the sweeper, and there were quite a few around. And the reason they were sweepers was that they were very inconspicuous. They didn't attract a whole lot of attention based on their appearance and their sound. You know? And guys didn't want, you know, a four-door Impala. They'd go with a two-door Impala. And they wanted to not let people know it was a sweeper. I saw the same with Chevelles. Base Malibu, base Camaro, base Nova, base Satellite, base Belvedere. Two doors, decent paint. They weren't all rusted out and raw body rot and fucked up. Bench seats with an automatic on the tree. Very inconspicuous. And they pull up alongside you at a light. You think that Impala's a 283, you know what I mean? You think that Belvedere Satellite's a 318. You think maybe that Camaro or Nova was, you know, 307, even a Chevelle. No SS badging, no blacked out grills, no mag wheels, no loud sound, no nothing. A lot of these guys wouldn't even put headers on them, so you wouldn't even see them. They tried to hide everything about this car, even the sound. These guys would put Sears muzzlers. Even the dual exhaust, they didn't want them sticking out the back with chrome. They even tried to hide the dual exhaust. They'd have dual exhaust. Once they came out over the rear axle, they came down, they had them tucked down, but far enough up so you couldn't see it hanging under the rear bumper. They didn't even want to give away it had dual exhaust. They were putting Sears muzzlers. Those mufflers could quiet down a fucking Mack truck. They would put Sears muzzlers on them. to reduce as much engine sound as they could, so you wouldn't hear a lot of rumpity rump out of a can. With stock exhaust manifolds, cast irons, you wouldn't hear that little cackle that will still resonate through the headers before it even gets to the fucking muffler and exhaust system. They did everything to conceal what that car really was. They did it with a real plain Jane stripped down appearance and a real mild, tame sound as much as they could. These were the sweepers. I think YouTube opened the door to a lot of fucking bullshit. Guys like Sanford, you got these fucking, my ex-boyfriend, and a lot of you other guys. You know, you got pure fucking junk, and you want to put it out as, you know, not only a classic car, but now a classic muscle car. They're ugly as hell to look at. They really don't perform very well. But because you don't want to spend the time and money that's required, and even on the sleeper back in the day, these guys still spent money on these cars. They didn't want them all banged up and rusted up and rotted out and fucked up interiors where you got a fucking horse blanket on the fucking seat. You know what I mean? They still wanted a nice car inside and out because they drove these fucking cars. Not like Sanford that brags on his junk, parks it like fucking Stooges. My ex-boyfriend has got that fucking junk that sits there parked. Now he's acting like he's going to go take the No-Show Nationals by storm and fucking humiliate and embarrass everyone. He's the only one that's ever been embarrassed there, and he'll do it again. You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of changes over the years. So people have taken something at one time that was nothing to brag about, and now they glorify the fucking shit out of it. You know? Today. You know, I haven't looked at car magazines in a very long time. I'm quite sure you buy any issue that you come across, you're not going to see four-door beat up, rusted out, rotted out junk, you know, being glorified. They have to even want to dedicate their time to doing a fucking full spread on it, a photo shoot, take it to a track, run numbers. They don't want to touch these fucking things. You want to know why? Because it's fucking junk. YouTube has done a lot to change a lot with cars, car guys. Besides the fact that they're basically doing anything they can on here to make a fucking buck. You know what I mean? A guy like Sanford, a fucking prostitute, sell his own fucking wife, mother, kids, children, anything he can to get fucking attention and get views. And that's what a lot of these other guys are doing now. Meaningless fucking nonsense. Just hoping to get views to make money. That's what it comes down to. Oh yeah, I'm on here. What I'm doing could be, very well could be considered meaningless. It's okay. I can accept it. I can live with it. But I'm not on here trying to make any money off it. I can deal with it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm old enough to have experienced a lot of change in life and a lot of culture, technology, advancements, cars, you know. And how terminology has changed. How once something was just junk. It was accepted. There was no problem with owning a junk. If that's all you could afford, that's cool. Nobody had a problem with it. Today, junk seems to be an offensive word to people that have junk. Can't accept the fact they have fucking junk. And they get offended and upset when someone like me calls them out on their fucking junk. Well, I guess that's something you have to live with now. And if the truth hurts, too fucking bad. Okay, I gotta get to the VTH here a little bit. Have a great day, have fun, stay safe. I'll see you tomorrow.